out there, especially in the evening hours. It's your typical try to heat it up during the day and then fire off some storms in the evening sort of scenario. I don't think it's going to be a widespread outbreak where we all get severe storms, but out ahead of it, it's going to be windy. Strong storms are possible after 5. Hail and wind is the main threat with these. So after 5 o'clock, we'll watch. You can see how it's a 2 out of 5 on the scale here for our entire viewing area. The greater tornado threat, though, is down to the south. So you can take this overall severe weather risk and break it down into separate categories. The tornado risk you see here is greatest down to the south in parts of Missouri and Kansas. You do see it sneak up into our area. We'll see what we can do, but overall, I think it's mostly going to be wind and maybe some larger hail to contend with from the strongest of the storms. Doesn't mean every storm will have that. Hopefully, it's just beneficial rain for a good chunk of us. But tornado threat pretty low. We'll keep the wind and the hail threat up there just a little bit higher with this on the scale. Again, watch for this after 5. 5 is the earliest. Thinking probably closer to 7 or 8 in the metro before we get anything that's threatening areas along the river and then farther to the east. So we'll be watching this moving in from the west. Should get a pretty good idea of what it's looking like as it's moving in. Temperatures in the 30s out the door this morning. Pretty quiet start. And from this, mostly 30s over the entire area. Got a pretty nice one on the way. You see a north wind at worst today, tries to get up near 10 miles per hour this morning, but backs off some into the late afternoon and early evening. So as we march through it, you can see there's just some scattered clouds. By 9 o'clock, we're in the mid 30s still. We take the 30s, turn them into 40s by lunch, and then into the afternoon. That's a good amount of sunshine. You can see slow and steady gets you to about 51 by 3 o'clock. And a high today up to 54 degrees by, again, in that 4 to 5 o'clock window, the way it looks this time of year. Just some high clouds moving in from the west at times through the course of the evening. Pretty quiet night on the way. The clouds will thicken up. You can see models suggest maybe a couple little sprinkles early on Tuesday. We settle down close to 40 to start off the day on Tuesday and may have a few little spotty showers kind of setting the stage for what looks to be what could be a stormy evening on Tuesday. Hopefully it's just some spring thunderstorms with some rain, but you got to watch out for the strongest of those. And then 60 for the high on Wednesday with some rain possible early, although those chances are kind of dwindling. Not a widespread rain event. We'll just be trying to get rid of the clouds and hopefully get a somewhat enjoyable day on Wednesday.
All right, that's all we asked for, right? Now, beyond Wednesday, how are things shaping up?
Yeah, I think it looks like things are going to be a lot calmer the way it looks for the end of the week, which is great news. Got a little bit of wind to contend with both Tuesday and Wednesday. And you can see the gusts on Tuesday, 40 to 50 miles per hour out of the south as we make our way through the day on Tuesday. That's out ahead of any storms, so those will be noteworthy. And then you got a west wind on Wednesday that kicks in, and that'll gust to near 40 miles per hour, so a little lighter, but I still think we can warm up to near 60 degrees, which is pretty typical this time of year. Average highs right around 60. Morning lows are in the 30s. Typically this time of year, but you know you can get a lot of ups and downs. 50s Thursday and Friday. Same story through the weekend. Got some small rain chances there. Most of this system, though, looks like it's trying to track to our south Friday and Saturday. A couple of cold mornings. You dip down into the 20s, and then we try to rebound. I think next week is actually looking pretty nice. After the cold start, there's a lot of good weather on the way next week, and get a little spring 70s maybe there towards the tail end of next week. We'll see how it goes. We'll march through the timing of how tomorrow's severe storms try to play out in a bit, but yeah, it does look a lot better next week.
That's what I'm talking about.
All right.
All right.
Aim to please.
Thank you, Russ. All right. Well, when we ended the show, you were telling us about a crash at 204th. How's that going?
Well, it's still there, unfortunately. Okay. So if you're going northbound right around Q, that's where you run into the issue, and it's blocking the right-hand lane. So it's causing some delays as you're making your way through that stretch. So the particular NDOT camera that is in this area has kind of a quad box view. You can see different angles of the intersection. So this is the box I want you to look at, and you can see that's over on the right-hand side. So you need to stay left as you're heading through that part of the intersection, just like that SUV is doing. It's a perfect example of what to do as you head through that stretch. So there's that crash. You can see some of the delays. People try to maneuver around with that being in place. Watch for that in the early going. Elsewhere, our big issue has been trying to cross the river from Council Bluffs to Omaha. We remember this was an issue for much of last week, and it is again this morning. You got some construction happening on the Iowa side of the river. You've got that ramp to go to Dodge being closed as well. So as you try to go westbound, you're trying to funnel into a small area, and then everything just kind of backs up from there. So be prepared for it to be so if you're going to try to plow through that. I would suggest using I-80 as your alternate route. It's moving along much better to cross the river, and you're going to have to deal with this here for several more weeks. That ramp is scheduled to be closed through the end of April. Elsewhere, we've got a couple of slowdowns here and there. JFK is looking a little better than it was not too long ago when we had backups that had built back toward Harrison, so we've freed that up some, and hopefully we can clear that crash and have everybody moving along well.
That would be nice for a Monday morning.
Yeah.
All right. Jared, thank you. Keep us updated. To the news now. Omaha police need your help in finding a missing 15-year-old. There he is on your screen there. We first alerted you to this case Friday. This is Zachary Liebert. Omaha police say he is 5'7" inches tall. He weighs 135 pounds with blonde hair. He has autism and was last seen near 204th and West Maple in Elkhorn last Tuesday. He hasn't been seen since. So if you know him or know where he could be, call 911 right away. Happening this week, Offutt Air Force Base will be conducting its largest and most intense exercise ever.
Yeah, that means limited access to and from Offutt today through Friday. There will be extended periods when inbound and outbound traffic will be completely restricted. You may notice increased noise and activity levels too. There's also going to be some frequent giant voice announcements. So yeah, stay alert for that. Well, today is the final day to cast an early voting ballot in person at the Douglas County Election Commission office for tomorrow's Omaha mayoral primary. A good reminder, if you do plan to vote tomorrow, polls are open from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. We have a list of all those locations on where to vote up on our website, firstalert6.com. Well, before the primary, Omaha City Council and mayoral candidates are doing some last-minute campaigning.
Yeah, candidates were out canvassing, making phone calls, and talking to voters. The weekend gave the mayoral candidates a chance to reiterate their message to voters.
I've always told you the truth. I've always worked hard for you.
People have seen what I have done. There's no risk with me. They know exactly what I do the next 4 years.
It's about public safety, streets, garbage, parks and affordable housing, and about our tax dollars.
I've been here, I've been doing this work, and I really know what's actually going on, and I have ideas to make this work.
Well, there is a fifth candidate in the mayor's race, Terry Brewer. We did contact him for comment, but did not hear back.
Happening tonight, the deadline to pay the first half of your property taxes, or you could face a penalty. For those wanting to pay in person, the Treasurer's Customer Service Centers will be open until 4:30 today, with the exception of the downtown one. We have those listed for you at firstalert6.com. You may also pay online or via Dropbox.
Well, still ahead this morning, debate over paid sick leave in the Unicam.
That's right, plus more weather and traffic from Rusty and Jared when we come back.
Update on.
All right, welcome back. Time now 7:12 on this Monday morning. We're taking a live look outside. Midtown Crossing area up on your screen. Sun starting to rise. We need a little bit of sunshine.
Through there.
It was kind of a, as you said, blah, dreary weekend. So enjoy today because things quickly change. A First Alert weather day for tomorrow.
Yeah, tomorrow technically is warmer, but there's not a lot of good stuff to go along with it. Got some thunderstorm chances in the evening. We got to watch out for with severe potential as well. That's why we made it a First Alert 6 weather day. So let's talk about what that means for us You can see the widespread severe potential from the Iowa-Minnesota border all the way south down into Texas. So this will be watched. And then it marches farther east for the next day, heading into Wednesday. But for us, you're noticing a 2 out of 5 on the scale here. Strong to severe storms possible after 5. That's what we're watching for. Large hail and strong wind are the main threats. And you can separate out the tornado risk, and it's actually farther down to the south. So that's why I'm not overly concerned about it. You can see some risk does sneak into our southern counties. So we'll watch this for our Missouri viewers, maybe down around Falls City as well for that tornado risk. But even before any storms, look at these winds tomorrow. Gusts 40 to 50 miles per hour as we make our way through the day. This is about 9 o'clock when those gusts really start to spike, and they'll be out of the south and persistent during the day on Tuesday. So after 5 o'clock, that's when the storm threat materializes. It's not going to be right at 5 for everybody, probably west of the metro by 5 o'clock, and then marching east as we go in the evening. Wind and hail as they progress farther east through the area. Today, out ahead of that, pretty good one. Up into the 50s, 54 degrees for the high today with sunshine. And then it doesn't cool down too much tonight, down around 40. And then we should rebound a little bit heading into tomorrow before any storms get going. So the car wash forecast today, pretty good. We'll call it a bit risky though, because by tomorrow we'll have maybe an early shower and then you got the evening storms. It's going to be tough to keep it clean, I think, tomorrow and heading into Wednesday. 10-day forecast does show us how things try to play out though. And we'll show you that breakdown of Tuesday. There you go by 5 o'clock, some spotty storms firing in our western counties, and then they try to march east to go towards 7 and 8 o'clock. You'll notice that trying to form into a little bit of a line. Doesn't mean every storm is going to be severe, but there's where your potential lies. This model suggests between 7 and 9 o'clock moving into the metro and then marching farther east beyond that. By 11 and 12, there's not too much left to worry about. Those should be east and out of here. So we'll watch that line develop and move east through the area. 60 for the high on Wednesday with some west wind to contend with, and then 50s and some chilly mornings in the way anyway to round out the week.
Yeah, and you mentioned after this week, we should be kind of smooth sailing, feeling a bit more like spring.
Yeah, it looks really good next week. Not the big violent ups and downs that we've been having.
Violent.
But you look towards early next week and you do have the potential for maybe some more mornings in the 20s, afternoons in the 50s, but then I think we got a nice warming trend on the way next week, and it looks pretty quiet next week too, with 50s and 60s, maybe even some 70s there towards the end of the 10-day forecast. You look a little beyond that into mid-April. The colder air starting to slide to the east, warmer air trying to sneak in from the west. I don't think anybody be all that upset about that. So we'll see how that goes as we make it into April. Today's the last day of March.
It is.
March is about done, folks.
Tomorrow's no joke.
There you go. Oh, yeah. Watch.
Boom, boom. Watch Dave Zavolinsky.
Dad Zavolinsky, yeah, he's got me before. We won't elaborate.
No. All right, in the meantime, this is also no joke. You're talking about a couple crash this morning?
Yeah, it's been impacting traffic on 204th as you're trying to head northbound. Yeah. It's still there. It's still blocking a lane. So let's take another check-in on what we're seeing as far as anyone who's trying to drive through that stretch. And remember, this is that DOT camera where you have 4 different views of the intersection. So bottom right's where I want you to look. And you could see it's slowing down as people are trying to drive through that stretch there with that crash in the right-hand lane. Now, hopefully, we're going to be seeing that clear soon, but be prepared for it to be slow as you get near that area. You can see some of the delays that do stretch down as you are making your way through that stretch almost halfway to Harrison at this point. So it is definitely an area where you're looking at some issues. Like going over 480, it's all kinds of backups all the way almost onto I-29 itself now as you're trying to get to 480. So again, probably want to avoid that area. A couple of new areas of construction where I'm seeing some slowing as well. That includes coming eastbound as you're heading right around 29th, so you're getting pretty close to that interchange there to try to get to the North Freeway. One lane travel there, that's scheduled only through Wednesday, but we're already seeing the first signs of some delays there. And off and on near Saddle Creek and Leavenworth, I've been seeing some slowdowns that have been showing up in different directions. That lines up with the varying lane restrictions that are going to be in place at that intersection for the next 2 months. Yeah, it's a long-term one. Along with this one, where you're looking at the next week and a half, starting today, you'll have one-lane travel westbound on Center, right near 90th. Those last two may sound familiar. Those are both intersections where we've had a lot of work over the last couple of years. These are just the latest ones that we're going to have. So don't be surprised if you see some pretty decent delays in those areas as people try to navigate those new areas of work. Aside from what we were seeing on 480, a couple of other spots that are getting a little on the busy side near 90th and Dodge. You've also got, as you're making your way on 370 westbound around 48th, where it's a little bit slow. But many spots are moving along in pretty good shape in the early going. So let's hope we can keep that as the case.
Yes, fingers crossed. All right, Jared, thanks. Another fire at a troubled Northwest Omaha apartment complex.
Yeah, it's the second major fire at the former Legacy Crossings apartments in less than 2 months. Omaha fire crews found heavy smoke from a third-floor apartment. A second alarm was called due to unsafe conditions, and a short time later, a third alarm was called to get crews rotating in and out of the building.
The wind really hasn't affected the fire conditions on this building. The fire a couple months ago, that wind was out of the north really strong. That fire vented through the roof and kind of caused that fire to spread across the roof. This particular case, it didn't appear to be that way.
Well, the building was vacant at the time of the fire. The units inside are under construction.
Now, as we touched on, this complex has been in the news several times in the past couple of years. Now, back in December of 2022, the city shut it down, citing several code violations and safety concerns. The complex was renovated under new ownership and reopened 10 months later. Last month, a fire inside another building caused $1.5 million worth of damages.
A debate on how to implement paid sick leave continues in the Unicam.
Nebraska lawmakers passed an amendment that places exceptions to the policy. Those include agricultural workers, people under 16, and people who work in businesses with 10 employees or less. Businesses with less than 20 employees would offer at least 5 paid sick days, and businesses with 20 or more would need to offer at least 7.
Happening tomorrow, river access parks along the Elkhorn and Platte River will officially open. The parks include Elkhorn Crossing near 252nd and Pawnee Road and the West Maple Road site just northeast of Waterloo. The Papio NRD may close the sites at various points throughout the season over high water levels. They do encourage you to check the ramp status online before heading out.
Well, coming up, the latest in the men's NCAA tournament.
Yeah, we'll give you our take on the Final Four when we come back. Welcome back, everybody. Happening today, it is National Crayon Day.
The crayons. Crayons.
Crayon Day?
Crayon.
She's technically right. That's how it's spelled. Yeah. Artists around the world have used wax and chalk-based crayons for centuries. Edwin Binney created the brightly colored crayons most people are familiar with today, all the way back in 1903. Binney's company developed the Crayola division for children for the first time. The rest is history. You know, it's funny, like, you use crayons as a kid,
yeah.
And then you kind of like stop using them. I don't if it's so strongly associated with being a kid. Or...
I know people, like my mother used to color, like she loved it. And now I get it. Yeah. Like it eases
adult
your
coloring books.
Yes.
Yeah, they're actually, like, there's scientific research that goes into, like, they're highly therapeutic.
My cousin does too. She has color. So I think I'm gonna get back into it.
Do the forecast tomorrow with crayons.
There you go. That will take. I have to come in really early for that. Back in the day, if you had that box of 64 with the sharpener on the back, you were big time.
Yeah.
Did you ever get that box?
Never did. I was like, I'd make 16
Mom
to
did not
30.
think it was
Maybe.
She knew they'd break or you'd lose them.
Yeah.
Like, you aren't getting the 64.
Man.
Yeah.
Kid.
There was always one kid in the class.
Oh, yeah.
I was
big time.
the kid.
Lucky you.
All right, on to the men's NCAA tournament now. The Final Four is now set.
And all 4 1 seeds are left. That is just for the second time ever. Top-seeded Auburn will take on Florida this Saturday. Tip-off is just after 5. And the second semifinal, Duke and Houston face off. Ooh, that's going to be a good one.
I can't wait for that
So
one.
this one is scheduled to start around 7:50. The winners will face each other and the national champion. It all goes down. The championship a week from today.
Do you guys have bets? Do you guys have any predictions?
3 good games.
There. Oh, wow. Look at him.
I think it'll be, this is who I think. I think it'll be Florida and Duke.
Yeah.
In the end.
I think the winner comes out of that Duke-Houston game.
Oh, yeah.
Whoever wins that
Houston
one,
looks so good.
I love this stuff. The brackets are so much fun, but I think the winner probably comes out of that side.
Okay, I agree with you on that. What do you think?
Well, I'm kind of hoping that Auburn wins it because I had them winning my bracket, so I need them to go.
You know what? They looked good last night. What's your guess? You can guess one.
You know,
Just pick.
Just pick one of the 4.
sure. You know, I know Duke's kind of a historic basketball place.
There you go.
So sure.
Woo! See?
right. There you
Okay,
go.
plus you're wearing it.
Yeah, I guess,
You're
yeah.
backing it.
Yeah.
Yes, she did it. High five, girlfriend. High five.
Yay.
All right. Thank you so much for joining us this morning. We're going to get ready for our update in the Today Show. Of course, you can watch it here on streaming or over the air.
Have a great start to your Monday.
Live from WOWT, First Alert 6 starts now.
Good Monday morning, everybody. It is 7:26. I'm Cerise Cole.
And I'm Erin Hartley. To start your Monday off, let's get a check of the traffic with Jarrett.
And I've been keeping a close eye on a crash that's been impacting traffic on 204th heading northbound just past Q. Now, if you look into this square, it looks like we have a tow truck on the scene. So hopefully we're in the final stages of this, but you need to stay left as you head through that area. We do have some delays that are showing up in the lead up there once you get past Harrison and start to approach Q. Our other big issue is as you're trying to cross the Missouri River on 480, look at the backups that extend all the way almost onto I-29. I'd encourage you to use I-80 westbound as the alternate route to avoid that area. A little slow on the JFK northbound approaching I-80 at this point as well. Rusty.
A little chilly out the door this morning, down in the 30s, so the air's got a little bite to it. You want a jacket to start off the day, but from here, We have clouds clearing and sunshine making its way out as the day goes along. Light north breeze up near 15 miles per hour at worst today. And whatever breeze you feel this morning will back off even more by the afternoon. So it looks pretty good there. First alert forecast shows how there's some sunlight on the horizon, but still some clouds to get through. It won't be perfectly sunny, but far, far fewer clouds than what we had yesterday. So 30s turn into 50s today as we climb up to about 54. Looking good there. Keep an eye on Tuesday, though. First alert 6 weather day. You have strong winds out of the south all day, leading to some stronger storms after 5 o'clock that could become severe with some hail and some wind in the area. Tornado threat pretty low, but I think there's going to be some stronger storms within a line trying to move through. Aaron?
Omaha police need your help in finding this missing 15-year-old. We first told you about this on Friday. Now, OPD says Zachary Liebert is 5'7". He's 135 pounds. He has blondish hair. He does have autism. He was last seen near 204th and West Maple in Elkhorn last Tuesday. Take a good look at him. If you see him or you know where he might be, call 911.
All right, everybody. It is 7:28. We're back with another update for you in about 25 minutes. We'll see you then.